is the news feed at 6.
Breaking news off the top tonight. James Bowie High School in Arlington is in lockdown after an on-campus shooting was reported. We can't confirm one student has been hit, but school officials say all students are safe and will be okay. If you are not familiar with the area, this is south of I-20, just west of 360. Now, as for the student who was hit, they were shot right outside one of the portable buildings. This all happened as school was getting let out at 3 p.m. Bowie school officials are delaying dismissal now and are working on reunification. Now, this is a developing story, so we will check back in when we have new information. But again, we want to be clear. All students are safe. There is no active shooter, and reunification is underway.
We do have more breaking news, though. A Fort Worth jury handed down the death penalty for a convicted double murderer. Paige Terrell lawyer was found guilty in the killing of his girlfriend Otashay Womack and her 10-year-old daughter Kamiria. Police found the mother and daughter strangled in their East Fort Worth home. Lawyer was eventually removed from courtroom this morning for an outburst directed towards the victims' families. They say their loss has been unbearable, but they still thank the jury for deciding on the death penalty instead of life in prison.
Glad you could join us. I'm Isabel Price.
And I'm John Patterson.
We've got a lot to get to tonight, but we're following more breaking news in Austin, where at least 3 people have been arrested at a pro-Palestine protest at the University of Texas this afternoon. The Palestine Solidarity Committee said it is calling for justice in Palestine. This morning, UT students walked out of class and met near Gregory Gym. They plan to march and occupy the university's South Mall. However, UT stated that the protest was not authorized. A letter sent to the Palestine Solidarity Committee on Tuesday by the office of the Dean of Students said the event would not be allowed to proceed as planned. The letter also noted that attendees not affiliated with UT will be directed to leave campus, and refusal to comply may result in arrests. The war in Gaza sparking pro-Palestinian protests at major colleges and universities across the U.S. As Jen Sullivan reports, the demonstrations are prompting many school officials to take extraordinary steps to confront the growing tensions.
Palestine will be free. Protests erupting on New York's Columbia University for a 7th day in a row. Students, stand your ground. Pro-Palestinian protesters taking over this quad and setting up tents, a violation of university policy. Israel's Students demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. The turmoil on campus causing many Jewish students to feel unsafe.
This is not a welcoming environment.
It's reached a boiling point in terms of anti-Semitism.
Classes now being offered online for the rest of the semester. The university saying Tuesday that the safety of our community is our #1 priority. The protests at Columbia inspiring similar demonstrations at other campuses. At New York University, students and faculty clashing with police. The NYPD arresting more than 130 people.
There is no place for hate in this city.
Similar protests staged at Yale University, where dozens of students were also arrested. Pro-Palestinian students at MIT condemning Israel's actions in Gaza.
There's a genocide going on.
The protests sweeping across the country. On Berkeley's campus in California, students setting up this solidarity encampment.
It's time that the university implement real protective measures for their Muslim, Palestinian, Arab, and pro-Palestinian students.
The White House says President Joe Biden is monitoring the protests, but won't say if he believes New York officials should deploy the National Guard to restore order. In New York, I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
As we see pro-Palestinian demonstrations spread on campuses across the country, the same story can be said here in North Texas. Last night, students staged a sit-in at the University of Texas at Dallas, with dozens filling a hallway that leads to the president's office. They're demanding an end to the war in Gaza and calling on UT Dallas to divest from companies connected to Israel. The president of UT Dallas met with both Jewish and Palestinian students to hear them out and help make UTD as inclusive as possible for both sides. Now, emotions are running high, but how about those temperatures, Lauren?
Across the Metroplex, those temperatures are pretty inconsistent. Dallas-Fort Worth, 77, 78. Down south, you'll see Waco at 75 and Nacogdoches at 74, slightly cooler south of Interstate 20. The rest of the evening, you'll see those clouds continue, 76 at 8, dropping all the way to 73. However, that humidity is staying high with that upcoming precipitation. Those storms are really starting up north as it continues to move east. Dallas, as of right now, you're at a level 2 on that 1 through 5 scale. With that level 2, there's possibilities of hail, possibilities of high winds. We still have to check up on that. Now that cool front is continuing to move in. You may see it move really more east. Oklahoma City may see the heaviest of that precipitation. Again, Dallas is really only at a level 2. Coming up, we'll look at the rain coverage, that severe tracker, and that 7-day forecast.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Now on to a developing story where a family is demanding answers and accountability after the loved one died while in custody at the Tarrant County Jail on Sunday morning. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office claims 31-year-old Anthony Johnson Jr. suffered a, quote, medical emergency after being pepper sprayed during a fight with officers in his cell. Detention officers said the fight occurred after officers approached Johnson's cell and he allegedly refused to exit during a routine cell check for contraband. Johnson's sister, Chanel and Janelle Johnson, tell us their brother, a Marine veteran, suffered from schizophrenia and tried to get help in the days leading up to his arrest. The family says they have not received any specific information about his official cause of death or what occurred during the alleged fight. Johnson is the 6th inmate to die in Tarrant County's custody. The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office declined to answer any questions about Johnson's death and referred us to the Texas Rangers, who are investigating.
Right now, police are looking for a 22-year-old man who went missing 3 days ago. Wade Robinson disappeared in Forney. Investigators say they found his cell phone yesterday near a creek alongside Highway 80 near FM 460. We're told Robinson crashed his purple Pontiac GTO in that area. His brother-in-law said he called friends to meet him down the road, but he never got to them. Forney police say this is still a search and rescue effort, but they've suspended any water-based operations because of the scheduled opening of a nearby dam.
An update now in Frisco, where an arrest was made after 2 house fires that ignited within hours of each other on Monday. The man charged with arson is identified as 29-year-old Jonathan Webb, who is currently in Denton County Jail. The first fire broke out at about 6300 block of Memorial Drive and Chapel Creek Boulevard, sending plumes of smoke into the air. When crews arrived, they spotted a man walking between the 2 houses near the fire. Frisco Fire said the man matched a description of a person of interest related to the house fire on Chapel Creek. Fire crews said the home was a total loss. The house next door sustained significant damage. Shocking news for the family of a 32-year-old San Antonian man that was shot dead 2 years ago. They are finally learning who the shooter was, and they're saying it wasn't anywhere near the suspect they thought. Authorities say a 10-year-old boy has admitting to killing the man when he was just 7 years old. The revelation happening on the school bus on April 12th after the boy threatened to kill another student. Amira Author walks us through the details.
Investigators now say that man was 32-year-old Brandon Raspberry. He was found dead here at the Lazy J RV Park in Nixon on January 18, 2022. Raspberry had been shot in the head. After the child's alleged threat on that bus, he was taken to a child advocacy center to be interviewed. It was there that Gonzales County investigators say the boy shared information that was consistent with firsthand knowledge of the homicide of Brandon Raspberry. According to the sheriff's office, during that interview, the child said he was staying with his grandfather who lived in the same RV park. He got a 9mm gun out of his grandfather's truck, went to Raspberry's RV, saw him sleeping, and shot Brandon Raspberry in the head. He also said he fired a round into a couch in the RV and then put the gun back in his grandfather's glove box. The 10-year-old told investigators he did not know Raspberry and had no reason to be angry with him. He had only seen him walking around the RV earlier that day. Raspberry moved into that RV park 4 days before he was killed. On April 12th of this year, investigators say they found the gun used in this murder at a pawn shop in Seguin. The boy told investigators his grandfather pawned it.
And so many of us love it. You will also see more police on patrol because of concerns about other activity there. The Fort Worth Police Department formed a specialized team to enhance safety and security in the Stockyards area. They say from Wednesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening, you're going to expect more patrols and safety responses. It's all in hopes in spearheading a summer crime fighting initiative there.
Residents down in Houston are speaking out over concerns about dog attacks throughout the neighborhood and what residents are planning to do.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver.
That 6-year-old
And we
story.
dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Mom was always very self-sufficient, but we started noticing things were off.
I was forgetting my responsibilities at work.
I told Mom we should visit a doctor.
Alzheimer's. It was hard to hear that.
Early detection gave us time to seek information and support as a family. I've never felt more connected with Mom.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Welcome back. Northwest Harris County residents say dogs have been attacking their neighborhood. One woman says she was able to fend the dogs off, who she calls aggressive, with a broom. Another man tells us it was an evening sneak attack when he was bit in the back of the leg. Daniela Hurtado has more from Houston.
I was out here tussling with them for about 15 minutes, screaming, somebody to help.
Rashonda Jackson was cleaning up after spending Wednesday afternoon gardening and cutting her grass when 2 dogs she describes as Rottweilers came toward her trying to attack.
And when they tried to run towards me, I took this in and just kept pushing them out.
With a broom in hand, she was able to keep them off of her until the dog owners came outside and got their dogs.
They can't seem to do nothing with these dogs. And I have a 2-year-old granddaughter. And I'm not going to be living in no fear of coming out of my own yard because of no dogs attacking me.
Hiram Mendoza tells us he was bitten by one of the 2 Rottweilers captured on this surveillance video in early February, landing him in the ER. He filed a police report and called animal control.
We're fearful, though. And my husband, if he does walk our dog, or my son, they're walking them with their handguns because, you know, they don't want to get bit. And God forbid they don't want to kill an animal.
That neighbor didn't want to show her face in fear of retaliation. She says her and other neighbors feel the Spectrum Homeowners Association aren't doing anything about this issue. Late this afternoon, the HOA tells ABC 13 law enforcement and animal control have immediate authority to resolve this type of animal incident.
Those dogs are threatening the safety and lives of people around here. People have kids.
Harris County Animal Control confirms they have had multiple calls about the 2 dogs. Neighbors want the dog owners to prevent this from happening again. The dog owner tells Eyewitness News off camera they're doing the best they can and have a kenneled area for the dogs now.
The Supreme Court heard arguments in the Biden administration's challenge to Idaho's abortion ban today. The justices appeared to be deeply divided over the enforcement of Idaho's strict abortion ban. Their decision could determine whether doctors can perform abortions on pregnant women during emergencies in states that have banned abortion. The Justice Department maintains federal law requires that hospitals offer abortions if necessary to stabilize the health of emergency room patients. DOJ attorneys believe that even applies to states like Idaho that completely ban abortions.
The longer pregnant Idahoans must travel out of state to get the life-saving treatment that they need, there will be an increase in maternal complications and maternal deaths. We will suffer. We are already suffering. Worsening physician shortages that affect all kinds of medical care.
The Biden administration sued Idaho in an attempt to undermine our rights and our state's choice to preserve life. The Biden administration is lawlessly manipulating the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act to override the will of the people of Idaho. My office, with the wonderful assistance of attorneys at Alliance Defending Freedom and Cooper & Kirk, urged the court today to end the Biden administration's lawlessness. We look forward to the court's ruling and hope it will allow Idaho to continue to protect women and their unborn children.
Justices are set to begin drafting their opinions, a process that usually takes months. The High Court is expected to hand down its ruling by the end of June.
In New York, the second day of testimony in former President Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial wrapped up yesterday. The judge overseeing the case denied Trump's effort to subpoena information from Stormy Daniels. It included her communications with other potential witnesses in the case. Judge Merchant said the subpoenas for the information about Daniels' documentary, communications with Michael Cohen, among others, were, quote, overboard. Trump filed a motion to compel Daniels to comply with the subpoena, but prosecutors opposed it. Court will not be in session on Wednesday, and the trial will resume on Thursday.
President Joe Biden signed a bill Wednesday that could lead to a nationwide TikTok ban. Congress had passed the bill this week as part of a wide-ranging foreign aid package meant to support Israel and Ukraine. The legislation poses the most serious risk to TikTok since U.S. officials began raising concerns about the app in 2020. Michael Yoshida joining us now. Explain what this means for users out here.
This bill would ban TikTok from U.S. app stores, also restrict how users can interact with its content, a move that could impact tens of millions of users here in the U.S.
The clock may soon be running out for TikTok and its more than 170 million users in the U.S.
A lot of TikTok users, as you would expect, aren't very happy about this. TikTok brings in lots of money for them.
President Joe Biden signing a bill Wednesday, giving ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, 270 days to sell or spin off the social media platform. Otherwise, it will be banned from U.S. app stores.
Congress is acting to prevent foreign adversaries from conducting espionage, surveillance, maligned operations, harming vulnerable Americans, our servicemen and women, and our U.S. government personnel.
Some experts say this bill does not prioritize the right issues.
Really what the U.S. needs to do, if it's worried about data collection, is pass comprehensive privacy legislation that would regulate the kind of data that all social media platforms and tech companies can collect on us and keep on us and share on us. Because even if TikTok goes away, there's nothing stopping the Chinese government from buying data and information about Americans from data brokers and other social media platforms.
TikTok is fighting back, calling the legislation unconstitutional. CEO Shou Chu vowed to take the issue to court.
Rest assured, we aren't going anywhere.
And this legislation sets a deadline of January 2025 for sale. However, President Biden, he could extend that deadline by about another 90 days if he feels that progress has been made towards getting a sale done. In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Thank you, Michael. Coming up, a chef in Mexico is making waves for his hot dog recipe. Why some are calling it the best hot dog in the world. Plus, Lauren's here with a look at the weekly forecast. That's all coming up.
Jason, let's go see your room.
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Mason.
Thank you.
A place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
The hot dog from Sonora has conquered the palates of Mexico and many around the world. The Sonoran hot dog is an adaptation of the classic American hot dog with unique flavors and traditions, known as dogos instead of hot dogs. They are larger with a sweet bun, have a bacon-wrapped sausage, and some jalapeno sauce, stuffed chili peppers, and even guacamole. This fusion of flavors and culinary techniques has led the Sonoran hot dog to gain notable recognition among national and international customers.
And hey, this is pretty fitting. Today is National Pigs in a Blanket Day. The versatile food can be served at virtually any time of day, even breakfast or brunch. No one knows for sure when the dish started, but records as early as 1901 reference recipes for pigs in a blanket.
They can be made in various forms, wrapped in dough or even cabbage or bacon, and filled with either hot dogs or sausages. Make pigs in a blanket the way you like it best. Make sure to post a photo to social media and use the hashtag #PigsInABlanketDay.
It's such a nice summer day out. Will you be eating pigs in a blanket today?
Maybe a hot dog. Speaking of which, Lauren, is it going to be hot today?
Pig in a Blanket, an American classic. Right now, you'll see the precipitation really starting up north. That warm air is pushing north. The cool air is actually going to continue to move south. Now, Dallas, as of right now, you're about a level 2 on that 1 through 5 scale. You can expect some hail, possibilities of high winds. It's something to keep an eye on. Now, as it continues to move east, we'll see a dry line start to form, and that's going to be bringing in that precipitation, pushing that rain toward the east coast. You'll see here that dry line forming toward Lubbock, bringing in that rain. Those clouds will continue really starting around Wednesday evening and continuing through the weekend. Light showers across. DFW may see the heaviest of that precipitation around Saturday afternoon as it continues to move toward the Texas-Louisiana border. Friday, 80%. Most of us will see rain. That's dropping down to 40 and then picking back up 50% over the weekend. You'll see if you have any outside activities, I would bring them indoors Saturday and Sunday. Currently 78 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, 12-mile-per-hour winds, 62% humidity. That's pretty low right now, but that's expected to pick up with those incoming storms. Across the Metroplex, you'll see 75 out in Denton, 77 in Dallas, 74 down in Nacogdoches. The rest of the evening, those clouds will continue. We're getting as low as 73. Now, however, that high humidity has a possibility of keeping that wind chill a little bit warmer. Tomorrow, we're escaping that precipitation. Friday, though, 80% chance of rain, slightly lower chance on Saturday at 70%. Right now, it's expected to be relatively light showers, but again, that level 2 on that 1 through 5 could bring in severe hail and winds. The next 7 days, you'll see temperature is pretty consistent, 70% on Sunday, rain the next 4 days. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll see a reprieve from that precipitation. Temperatures, again, very comfortable, 85 on Monday, 82 Tuesday, 84. Keep it right here. The Newsfeed at 6 will return.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
I taught for 20 years, but I started forgetting my lectures. Eventually, he had to quit. My therapist recommended we go to the doctor.
The early Alzheimer's diagnosis allowed us to take control of the situation.
He's been such a positive force and so loving. Thank you. You're welcome.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced a recall of just over 31,000 of Hyundai's Genesis vehicles. Officials say the fuel pumps on these cars can shut down, which cuts off fuel flow to the engine. A fuel flow stoppage can cause a driver to lose control of the vehicle, increasing the risk of an accident. Among the vehicles affected by this recall are GV70s, GV80s, as well as GV80s and 90s 2022 and 2023. Consumers can take their Hyundais to a dealer for a repair free of charge. Hyundai says no related accidents or injuries have been reported thus far.
A labor complaint reveals allegations that Boeing retaliated against 2 of its engineers. The 2 employees at the time were working on behalf of the Federal Aviation Administration to provide manufacturing oversight. They raised concerns about engineering working on Boeing's 777 and 787 aircraft. Boeing initially pushed back against redoing the work before agreeing to do it. Now, a union representing Boeing engineers has filed a complaint alleging the company retaliated against their 2 employees in their performance reviews. The union says the negative reviews could harm the engineers when it comes to promotions or could subject them to layoffs. Boeing said it investigated the incident, but its report could only be shared with the FAA.
A comedian in Arizona is using her teaching experience to train the next comedy generation. Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
An educational program in Tempe, Arizona is helping kids learn and build confidence, one joke at a time. In addition to all the laughs, it also helps prevent bullying. Javier Soto introduces us to the Cool Kids Comedy Club.
How does that make you feel when everybody laughs at you?
Accomplished.
Accomplished? How come?
Because it's what I want to do.
For Cool Kids Comedy Club in Tempe, laughter is also a great teaching method.
I love laughing, and I wanted to give that to kids.
Kayla Howard is a comedian and former teacher. She's combining both of her passions to help kids learn and build them up.
I thought about a way to impact the community in a positive way through comedy, and I resorted back to my teaching experience and how much fun I had, like being in the classroom with kids. And I thought that Cool Kids Comedy Club would be like the perfect combination of, education, but also fun.
And there's plenty of fun at their classes, led by local comedians.
All right, what about his friend bit the mailman? What part of the joke is that? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Twins! So really it's about learning in disguise. So we're teaching students essential life and literacy skills, but it's through comedy that we accomplish that.
So what does that look like?
So that looks like students working in small groups, so they're learning cooperative learning skills. That looks like students getting up in front of the classroom, that's enhancing their speaking skills. That looks like students being respectful and good audience members, that's listening skills. And then just again building up their confidence to really get up in front of the class and express themselves.
That confidence is already building in students Josiah and Cariana.
What do the rest of the students say when you start telling jokes?
They laugh.
They laugh? How does that make you feel?
Happy.
Who was the funniest person in the room? You? What made you funny?
I just acted funny.
But they are far from the only ones.
I've seen a lot of kids become more confident. Like in our January session, it was awesome because there was a kid in there who's like, nah, I don't get up in front of the class. I don't want to talk. But by the end of the class, he was reading his page and a half of jokes. And those are the stories that really keep me going, when knowing that kids are building up their confidence simply by being in Cool Kids Comedy Club.
Of course, I had to put their skills to the test.
Why did my dog be called Spicy Pumpkin?
How come?
Because she's a hot girl.
You gonna remember us when you are rich and famous? No.
Javier Soto, ABC 15, Arizona.
What an amazing story, and good luck to all the kids in the Cool Kids Comedy Club. I wish I had that when I was in school.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Thank you so much for joining us at the Newsfeed at 6. Have a great week and great news.
And we'll see you Friday at noon.